Hey everybody, welcome back to 1776 or Bust. Have any of you guys ever owned something that you've given away, or maybe had an ex-girlfriend or boyfriend that you just don't understand why it went bad and you ended it, and then only to a few months later or weeks later or even a year later realize that you probably shouldn't have gotten rid of that car or gotten rid of that boyfriend or girlfriend? A lot of times we have those regrets. Yes, pistol owners have those regrets too. I bet you that some of you who are watching this video have given away some guns or sold them or traded them off, and you have looked back and said, oh man, why did I do that? In my case, I've done that only 2 times, and they've both had these 2 letters attached to it, CZ. So today, very briefly, I'm going to go over my new pistol, which is a CZ P07. Now, I looked at the P01s and I looked at the P07s, and neither one of them are a bad gun. They're both great. I couldn't necessarily find a P01 at a good price point with the Omega trigger system, so I decided to hold off for now, and I went with a P07 with the Omega system itself. Now, going back to what I used to own a P01, a P07 Duty, and a P07 Gen 2. I can tell you that this one that I have here is a little bit different even from the 2nd generation P07 I owned, just with a couple of minor things, nothing major. But to go over some basic features on this that are different from the old P07 Duty, one of the first things I'll talk about really quickly here is the finish itself. This is a nitrated finish, so you can see that it has kind of that sheen to it. It's a beautiful finish. This reminds me a lot of the old Glock finishes, like that Teflon finish. I had a Glock 17 and a Gen 4 that actually had a finish like this, and it just was amazing. You couldn't mark it up, you couldn't scratch it, nothing. Anything that touched it, all you would do is wipe it off the finish, and it was gone. And the gun always looked brand new, and I absolutely love the finish on that. So that's a big plus on this one versus the Duty, which did not have this, so the finish always looked like crap. Even after you oiled it, it still looked terrible. Again, you also have the additional front serrations that have been added to the new P07s. This is not necessarily the most important thing on a gun, but some people like having those front serrations if they do press checks, something like that. But again, I do like it. It makes the gun look or appear a lot more modern than it used to. Again, the trigger design has also changed. This is your Omega trigger design, so it's not fully flat faced, but it also doesn't have that big hook or a curve. It looks sort of like that, the triggers on the original Duties. So, you know, this does make a big difference in regards to your trigger pull. It's a little bit straighter, so you get more of that, you know, straight back pull on the trigger. So that's always a big improvement as well. I will tell you, this isn't the best trigger in the world, and it's not even the best double action in the world, but it's good. It's a good feeling trigger, and it is definitely good for the price point. Again, one of the other features that they changed on this gun was to dehorn the entire gun itself, so there are no sharp edges any longer. On the original P07 Duty, the front of the gun, you would be able to see almost like a triangular shape to this, and this kind of resembles it. However, you'll notice that on the edges here, everything's been beveled. So there are no sharp corners, no sharp edges at all. There's none on this gun whatsoever. The hammer has also been changed. It went away from that rounded hammer that the P01 had or the older models have to more of a squared, or I would say, yeah, I guess like a squared hammer. So again, there's absolutely no edges on this whatsoever. Very nice, smooth hammer, very good feeling. Also, in regards to the P07s, when I had my Duty, I did not get it with an actual decocker. I got it with a safety only, which I hated because I don't carry I never carried a double action in the cocked and locked position. I actually like the decocker because I do like to bring it down into a half cocked position. So that came with this. Also in the box itself came with the safety itself. So if you want to change that out, you can. I've heard that it does improve the trigger pull slightly with the safety, but that's okay. I'll keep what I have. I like the cocking mechanism. Also, in regards to the back straps, again, on the 2nd generation P07s, you actually have the adjustable back straps on them. The old P07 Duty, you did not. You had just a basic polymer with no adjustability in the back whatsoever. Do these really make a significant difference in adding a hump to the pistol? Not necessarily. I mean, it does add a little bit, but it still doesn't make it anywhere near as ergonomic as, let's say, a PPQ, but I don't know too many pistols that can do that. Does that make this a bad pistol to hold? No, it doesn't. It's very ergonomic, feels very good in the hand. The angle of the grip itself is very good. I would say it's very similar to angle-wise as a 1911 or even the Smith & Wesson M&P 9. It's not as straight up as, let's say, a 320, but it is a very good angle. And actually, I will say that when and if you decide to purchase this gun, When you bring it up to your eye level, you'll realize that this does shoot very naturally. So when you bring it up to eye level, it's right on target, which is a very nice feature to have on a pistol. So it doesn't take much effort to, you know, work on that. Again, the beaver tail has also changed a little bit. The old beaver tail was a little bit longer and it was a little bit thinner. They have actually made this a little bit chunkier and a little bit shorter. So, you know, I guess it does make a little difference for concealability, so you don't have that big beaver tail sticking out, but it doesn't do anything whatsoever for the shootability. It did not change it, it did not improve it, it did not, you know, decrease the shootability, but again, it still fits just perfectly in the hand. Also from factory, you can get these with two 15-round mags. The old P07 Duty used to have 16-round magazines, but they did change out the spring inside of the magazine, so that's why it reduced it by 1. Does that make a difference? I don't know. I guess if you're a fan of carrying 32 rounds as opposed to 30, then yes, it makes a difference. But if you need more than 30 rounds, you know what? You may want to get a different, you know, hobby. But other than that, everything on here that has been improved has made, in my opinion, giant, I shouldn't even say that because it's not giant leaps, but at the same time, they've made significant improvements to a gun that was very good. Now, in my opinion, they've made it even better. Even with the sights, you know, they've kept the 3-dot sight system, but these sights are actually made of metal. The old ones used to be made out of plastic, and they were garbage. They were really, really bad sights. These are not night sights, however. These are glow-in-the-dark or luminescent sights, so you hit some light on them, and then you put them in a dark room somewhere, and you can now see glow-in-the-dark sights, which is kind of, you know, is it the best? No, but it's good. You can still use it. They're usable. If you have a flashlight, if you're using it as a home defense weapon and you have a flashlight, even if you're not using the Picatinny rail and you just zap the sights really quick, they should glow for a couple of minutes. So that's a good feature. It's not the best feature, but it is a good feature. And for those of you who know any other aftermarket sights besides Cajun Gun Grips or CZ Customs, let me know. I'm pretty sure you cannot find these in Trigicons, and I don't think you can even get them from, you know, TrueGlow, which is unfortunate. But I would say that's probably one of the biggest downsides of the pistol, is that there's not a huge amount of aftermarket support yet. In regards to the stippling, again, the back straps are new. They've also actually changed the stippling or the markings on the back. They used to be much tighter. Actually, they used to be very similar to the front here on the back. So they've just redesigned that and made them a little bit wider in regards to the contact points. On the grips, nothing has changed on the sides. They're basically the same thing, but very, very nice feel, very tactile feel. Very sandpapery. This may rub you a little bit on the sides in regards to if you have love handles or something like that, but you can always get rubberized grips. I actually have a set coming in from traction grips, so once I get those in, I'll put them on and we'll see how they fit and how they feel, and I'll do a review on that as well. Other than that, if I had one thing that I would love to see CZ change, actually there's two things. The one thing that I would love to see them change are the controls. I think they're just a little too bulky. You know, I don't know if you really need this big step out from the decocker. You know, this actually steps out. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see it actually bulges out a little bit, even from the slide lock. So there is a little bit of a girth to that. I don't know why they do that. I don't think it's necessary. You know, if they even shaved this down and made it a little bit slimmer, I think that would be nice, especially when you have such a nice looking modern pistol like this. You know, I don't think this is necessary, but it's functional, it works, so, you know, I'm not going to really dismiss it and say it's crap, because I don't think it is. I just wish they would change it a little bit. My second thing is, I wish one day, or I hope one day, please CZ, that CZ will come out with a striker fired gun. I think they make brilliant double action, single action pistols. I'd love to see what they could bring to the market with a striker fired pistol. I really think if they did that, they'd destroy the competition, because CZ is moving up. A lot of people are very you know, they love it. They love the guns, and they're fans of them, and so am I. So CZ, if you're listening, try that striker fired, man. Let's see what you can do. Other than that, everything on the pistol is very functional. You know, again, the takedown is not exactly the easiest in the world. If you're not familiar, CZ does have a notch on its frame and also one on the slide. What you have to do is you have to actually match them both up and pull back a little bit so that they meet. Now, some people don't like the fact that you need to have an additional tool to be able to pop out that pin. In this case, if I can get it out, that'd be great. That's the only reason. And like I said, eventually this will, you know, be a lot easier because it'll break in. Oh, and I know why. By the way, if you're dumb like me, you'll try to do this with a magazine in. Take the magazine out and then do it. Let's see how easy I can do it now. Ugh. Holy crap. There we go. So it's not the easiest process in the world. And again, it's a brand new pistol, so it's going to take some time for these parts to start to wear down a little bit. Once you're able to actually pop that out, it comes right out. Over time, this will shave down a little bit. If I can get that in camera, that'd be great. This will shave down a little bit. So a lot of times, all you need to do is initially push out, and it'll pop out enough where you can just pull it out by hand. So it takes some time, and again, it is brand new, so it hasn't broken in. You don't have to pull the trigger, you just slide it forward, the slide comes right out. Again, you've got your captive recoil spring inside. You know, typical barrel. The barrel is has a very high polished feed ramp. You know, I'll show you really quick. It's very easy, you know, to take apart your pistol if you haven't done it before. But you'll see here that it's a very polished feed ramp there. That's very nice, you know, so you get a very nice polished feed ramp. That's very Springfield-like, I guess you could say. Again, just putting back the barrel is very easy. You know, the recoil spring I wish was made out of metal, but it is not. It's actually polymer. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it would be nice if they went to a steel guide rod. Just because I think the steel will add even better accuracy to the pistol and lower recoil. Again, you'll notice that everything inside, and I'll just show you really quickly, but this is one of the nicest crafted CZs I've seen. There is absolutely no machining marks at all on this slide. I mean, there's nothing. You know, on my P01, even the finish on the inside of the slide wasn't completely finished, but this one is absolutely beautiful. Just very nice fit and finish. They did a great job, you know, paying attention to detail. You'll notice that your rail's right on the inside of the actual frame. So when you put your gun in, which is what contributes to the low bore axis, but when you put your pistol into the, or I should say the slide into the frame itself, and I'll do that for you in a second here. There we go. Once you put it in, you'll notice that it rides on the inside. So that's a pretty cool feature, and I think that's what contributes to the low bore axis. Again, when you're putting the firearm back together again, you don't necessarily have to pull it back to that notch again. All you have to do is put the slide lock back in. It'll click once, click twice, and it's back in. And then you just rack your slide back, and there you go. In regards to the trigger pull, again, very heavy double action, single action. The double action trigger, as you can see, is quite heavy. Again, I would not be carrying the gun like this. I'd actually be carrying it in half cock position, which is what it's in now. So you can see that's still quite the heavy trigger. You get a little movement there, but it breaks pretty heavily. The single action, again, very nice, CZ single action. There is some take up on here. And once you hit about that, it's probably about a little past half from that break. But you can see there's a little bit of creep and then a wall. Now, reset. Reset again is pretty long. There it is. There's a little take up, more take up, and I apologize for the hands, but I'm in a weird spot here, and then you creep back. Again, it's not the best double action, single action I've ever shot. I would say the best double action that I've ever felt has been the P250. It's one of the smoothest double actions. My P2000 was a double action only also, but it had the, I forget what they call it, but it was when it goes into its initial double action, it actually resets almost in a semi-single action, so it was a very nice trigger as well. But this is a little heavier, but over time this will break in a little bit, it'll smooth it out, and you'll have a very nice firing double action, single action pistol. So for those of you out there who are looking for a good gun that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, and you want to have that comfort knowing that it's a double action, single action, totally recommend the CZ P07. It's a great pistol. It will not let you down. Extremely reliable. The fit and finish on this pistol is just superb. Aftermarket support's a little bit of a downer, but you know, you can still find some things out there. You know, there are some people who will make some custom Kydex holsters. You just have to, you know, look for them. So at this point, I hope you've enjoyed the review on the P07. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you're looking for a great polymer double action, single action, and it's between this and let's say a SIG SP2022, my opinion is that this is the superior gun. It's smaller, it's a little bit more ergonomically friendly, and the price point is going to be about the same. So I would say go with this. But again, I do like CZs. I'm as much of a CZ fanboy as I am a Walther fanboy. So as always, I hope you're all being safe out there, and freedom is never free.